Welcome to Trending Unpacked, where we explore what people are searching for and why it matters. Today, we're looking into a film that's really struck a chord, Together 2025. And this isn't just, your standard romantic drama. It stars and is directed by the real-life couple, Dave Franco and Alison Brie. And it dives deep into the emotional fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. So the big question we're asking today is, why this film? Why now? Why is it trending so hard?
That's really the perfect question to kick things off, because Together, it feels like more than just a movie for a lot of people, almost like a collective therapy session playing out on screen. We're going to unpack its relevance from a few different angles. There's a really unique production story. For one, its timing, coming out when it did in this sort of post-pandemic, ongoing pandemic reality, and then the cultural impact it's clearly having, making people think about their own stuff. It's a really powerful example of cinema holding up a mirror, especially to something so huge and universal.
Okay, let's jump right in then. The immediate reasons it's trending. The first thing that jumps out is what I've been thinking of as the real-life authenticity factor. You've got Dave Franco and Alison Brie, real couple, and they're not just acting in it. They wrote it together, produced it together. That's not just casting, right? It feels like a deliberate choice that gives the whole thing this layer of perceived honesty.
It absolutely does. When you, the viewer, know the people playing out these intense relationship struggles are actually together in real life.
Yeah.
There's this immediate sense, you can't really avoid it, that maybe, just maybe, you're seeing something drawn from their real life.
Right. It makes it feel more vulnerable.
More raw, potentially more genuine than if it were just two actors playing parts.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is how that authenticity, or the perception of it, lands right now. Together, 2025 comes out, just as so many couples, so many people are still kind of figuring things out after the last few years.
Still processing it all.
Exactly. That intense isolation period during the pandemic. It forced a lot of introspection, didn't it? External distractions vanished, social lives just stopped, routines were completely upended.
You were just there, often with your partner.
Right. Navigating constant closeness, shared anxieties, no escape routes.
Yeah.
This film taps right into that collective memory, that sort of shared feeling.
So it's not just telling a story, it's telling our story, in a way.
For many, yes. It articulates those adjustments, those anxieties that maybe people experience privately. It becomes this mirror reflecting back experiences people live through, or are maybe still working through.
A validation, almost.
A validation, or maybe a release. It gives a shared narrative to something that felt very individual and often, really tough. The film's ability to voice those unspoken feelings is definitely a huge part of why it's resonating.
And it's not just the themes or the real-life thing pulling people in. It's also the style of the film, how it looks and sounds, and how that has sparked these viral moments online. Critics seem to be universally praising the dialogue, calling it naturalistic. That kind of conversational, almost seems improvised feel, and the setting minimalistic, just one location.
Yeah, that single location is key. It's a deliberate choice.
It forces the focus entirely onto the characters, right? No distractions, just them and their interactions, raw.
Absolutely. That naturalistic dialogue often comes from, really intensive script work, allowing for pauses, overlaps, maybe even some improv. It captures the messiness of how people actually talk.
Not movie talk.
Exactly. And the single location, usually just the house, is crucial too. It's tough artistically because you need amazing writing and performances to hold the audience, no big set pieces to rely on.
Right.
But that forced intimacy mirrors the lockdown experience directly, so it feels relatable. But here's the kicker. This film has just exploded on places like TikTok, Letterboxd.
Oh, yeah. How?
Specifically because of these scenes people are calling relatable emotional breakdown scenes.
Yeah.
These moments where a character just completely loses it, lets out all the frustration, hits rock bottom. Those scenes are driving shares, comments, discussions like crazy.
Wow.
Like a cultural shorthand now for vulnerability, for pandemic stress.
People see it and go, that was me.
Pretty much.
That
was me, or that was my partner, or I know exactly that feeling. It's like these raw moments give people permission to acknowledge their own leftover stuff from that time.
The anxieties, the frustrations.
Exactly. They share the clips not just because it's dramatic, but because it captures something universally true about that period. It makes a very private feel seen, validated, understood by others.
But then it's fascinating with the breakdown scenes becoming shorthand. What is it specifically about them that makes them so shareable, so validating? Is it just the intensity?
Well, I think it's more than just the raw emotion, though that's part of it. It's the honesty combined with the recognition of a shared but very private experience. Think about lockdown. We all went through unprecedented stress, right? Anxiety, that forced closeness.
Yeah, constant low-level or high-level tension for many.
Right. And that led to moments of emotional intensity, arguments, crying, exhaustion, maybe even surprising closeness. Things that might normally get smoothed over by daily routines.
Things you could usually escape from.
Exactly. So when these scenes are shown with that natural dialogue in that stark setting, they hit hard. They feel authentic because they lack that typical movie polish. They mirror the stripped-down reality many lived.
So sharing isn't just, look at the scene,
It's collective recognition.
Yeah.
It's like saying, see, this is what it was really like. This isn't just drama. It reflects something true for us.
And that creates a sense of solidarity.
A huge sense of solidarity. It turns that private turmoil into a shared cultural moment. It validates those struggles, maybe helps people process things they went through alone. When a film does that, becomes a vehicle for collective processing, it shows a deep need in society to deal with the aftermath.
Art providing that space.
Precisely. A safe space for reflection and connection.
Okay, so beyond the organic buzz, the relatability, there was also some savvy marketing involved, wasn't there? The trailer itself apparently went viral on social media. That created initial heat.
That helps.
But strategically, premiering at Sundance or a similar indie fest, that was smart.
Oh, definitely. It immediately signals artistic merit, critical appeal.
Sets it apart from, just another streaming movie.
It tells the audience and critics, take this seriously. This isn't just a celebrity project.
And then the press interviews really hammered home the Franco Brie real-life angle.
They leaned into it hard, highlighting the authenticity, the connection to their own lives. It built this narrative around the film before wide release, making people curious.
Drawing in people who wanted something raw, relatable, especially from stars they already felt connected to.
Exactly. Amplified the message.
And thinking bigger picture does together fit into any current trends in film.
Oh, absolutely. It lands squarely in and maybe even helps define this growing interest in small-cast, single-location films. You do get the sense audiences are shifting slightly, don't you? Maybe a little tired of just huge blockbusters.
Craving something more intimate, emotional.
Exactly. A real hunger for raw, emotionally intense stories. Character depth over spectacle. And Together isn't alone. It's part of this wave of, let's call it, pandemic-influenced cinema.
Like Malcolm and Marie.
Yes. Similar setup couple, intense conversation, single location post-event.
Or language lessons. That was all Zoom calls, basically.
Right. Built entirely on virtual connection during isolation. All these films grapple with relationships under the specific pressures of that time confinement, isolation, limited settings.
So what does this wave of films tell us about how we're processing the pandemic through art?
I think it says we're still very much grappling with it. The emotional, the psychological, the relational fallout. Art becomes this vital tool, doesn't it? To understand, to contextualize, maybe to move through it.
These smaller, character-driven films offer something blockbusters can't.
A space for reflection, maybe catharsis. They meet that deep need for understanding when things feel uncertain.
Okay, so we know why it's trending. Let's dig into the film itself a bit more. Together, 2025. Romantic drama. Stars Dave Franco, who also directs and co-writes. Alison Brie stars, co-writes, produces. A real partnership.
A true collaboration.
And importantly, it seems headed for a digital or streaming-first release. Likely Netflix, Amazon Prime, something like that.
Yeah, that seems to be the distribution model for films like this often.
Which means instant massive reach, fueling the conversation even more.
Absolutely. Accessibility is key. So the story focuses on this fictional couple, mid-30s, and they're dealing with the emotional, let's call them aftershocks of the pandemic.
And the setting is crucial. Stuck in a small house, isolated.
Right. No sprawling plot lines here. It's intentionally focused, almost claustrophobic.
To mirror the lockdown experience.
Exactly. And in that space, their relationship gets put under a microscope.
Yeah.
The film shows how existing career issues, personal insecurities, old emotional wounds, they all bubble up.
Nowhere to hide.
Precisely. It's like the pandemic stripped away all the buffers, the commutes, the social life, the routines, and acted like an accelerant.
Forcing them to confront everything they maybe avoided. That's a powerful image, the pressure cooker. What are the deeper psychological things going on there? That forced intimacy, no distractions.
Oh, the implications are huge. You lose all your normal coping mechanisms, right?
Yeah.
Work outside the home, seeing friends separately, hobbies, even just the time alone driving to work. gone.
leaving the couple just with each other and their issues.
The film becomes this study of what happens when two people are left almost entirely alone together for that long. That pressure cooker reality.
Yeah.
So many people lived it. It forced this intense confrontation with yourself and with your partner.
Could go either way, strengthening bonds or not.
Right. For some, maybe it deepened intimacy. For others, it exposed cracks, made old problems worse, or created new ones just from the stress and closeness. The film shows how understanding can come, but often through really difficult, painful moments. It's about what they can't escape from each other.
And the themes within that pressure cooker, they feel really universal. First, that weird paradox. Emotional intimacy versus just being physically close.
Yeah, that's a big one.
The film shows how being stuck together 24/7 didn't automatically mean feeling closer.
In fact, it often highlighted the distance.
Right. Physically there, sharing the same air, but emotionally, miles apart, maybe retreating inward.
That constant physical presence, without the usual breaks, can actually amplify the emotional gap, can't it?
Makes those unspoken things louder.
Glaringly apparent. It's that cruel irony, closer than ever, but feeling further apart.
And that connects straight into the theme of post-pandemic relationship strain, doesn't it?
Directly. The film really digs into the unique stressors the pandemic created. Maybe it blew up existing issues that were just simmering before, things you could ignore when life was busy.
Routines that let you avoid the hard talks.
Exactly. Or maybe it created totally new problems. Health scares, job losses, just the sheer monotony and fear. Together shows how those external pressures warp the internal dynamic. Irritability, withdrawal, old wounds reopening.
A very raw look at how a global event reshapes something so personal. And running through it all, it seems, is miscommunication, especially in long-term relationships.
Apparently.
The isolation, removing all those distractions, work, friends, hobbies,
External.
leaving them face-to-face, forced to confront how they actually talk to each other or don't talk.
Right. Those subtle failures to hear each other become impossible to ignore.
Like the pandemic put a magnifying glass on every missed cue, every resentment.
Forcing confrontations they might normally dodge. Old habits amplified in confinement.
Leading to more friction.
Precisely. Which brings us to that really big resonant theme. The impact of isolation on mental health and connection. The film doesn't just show a couple arguing in a vacuum. It connects their struggles to what everyone was talking about mental health during COVID. Isolation hit individual well-being hard, anxiety, depression, burnout, disconnection.
And that personal strain inevitably affects the relationship.
Of course, if one or both partners are struggling mentally, battling their own demons, it puts immense pressure on the bond. The film shows how those internal struggles play out in their interactions. The walls of the house feel like the walls of their minds.
So Together gives a framework for understanding those shared, often unspoken feelings.
Yes, very effectively.
Yeah.
It normalizes the struggle, the bad moods, the despair, the failed coping attempts. It makes viewers feel less alone in what was, for many, a deeply isolating time.
Takes the big societal talk about mental health and makes it personal, intimate.
Tangible, empathetic, understandable. It basically says, it's okay. This was hard for everyone.
Okay, so we understand the film's mechanics and themes. Let's zoom out again. How is it actually hitting the audience, the culture? The critical acclaim is there. Critics are pointing to the vulnerability, the chemistry between Franco and Brie.
Which makes sense, given the real-life connection.
And that acclaim validates its artistic merit, right? It's not just trending because of hype.
No, it signals depth. It's being recognized for tapping into genuine human emotion.
And when critics praise that authenticity, it encourages audiences to engage more deeply, too.
It gives permission to take it seriously, not just as light entertainment.
But the public reaction seems to go even deeper than just good reviews.
Oh, much deeper. What's truly striking is how viewers are sharing their own intensely personal stories in response.
Stories about their relationships, breakups, struggles, breakthroughs post-COVID.
Exactly. Directly linking their experiences to watching the film. This isn't just standard I like the movie chat. It's become this huge, almost collective catharsis online. People are seeing their own unspoken fears, their arguments, their low points, even moments of unexpected connection reflected so accurately on screen. that it makes them want to share their own private journeys publicly.
The film acts as a catalyst then.
A powerful catalyst, prompting reflection, articulation, processing of their own pandemic relationship experiences. It's about dealing with lived trauma, shared anxieties, the big changes.
The film gives them the language or the push to have conversations they needed to have.
Exactly. Provides that emotional scaffolding.
That's really something. It's not just entertainment. It sounds almost therapeutic. Why this film, though? Why has it sparked such an outpouring when other movies don't?
Well, think about the context. The pandemic was global, yes, but lived very privately, behind closed doors. Relationship struggles during that time often felt intensely personal, maybe even unacknowledged by others. A sense of unique burden.
Even though millions were going through similar things.
Right. Together takes those private, often painful experiences and puts them out there through art. When viewers see their specific fears, their communication fails, their despair, or even their moments of intimacy shown so vulnerably, it's incredibly validating.
It says you weren't alone.
Your experience was real and it was hard. That validation can be so liberating. It normalizes what might have felt like a personal, maybe even shameful struggle, turns it into a shared human experience.
Creates a bridge between private suffering and collective understanding, so it fosters community even if people are watching it alone at home.
Precisely. That sharing creates community. People find common ground in the vulnerability. Online spaces become places for empathy, sharing stories without judgment.
That really speaks to the therapeutic power of art, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Especially art that reflects widespread anxieties and changes so accurately. When a film prompts this level of sharing and reflection, it's doing vital social and psychological work, helping us make sense of a chaotic time, articulate feelings, find connection in a disconnected world.
Using fiction to reveal truth, helping us understand, maybe heal.
And the fact that it also sparks debate, like the glamorization question we'll get to, shows how deeply it's provoking thought.
Pushing viewers to examine their own ideas about relationships under stress. And like any film that hits this hard, it's stirring up debate. Together, 2025 is right in the middle of one. The core question seems to be, does it glamorize emotional dysfunction or does it realistically portray it?
That's a big one.
That's a really tricky line, and I think it's worth considering both sides, for you listening. What are the dangers if a film makes dysfunction seem cool, appealing? And conversely, what makes a portrayal realistic when you're talking about intense private struggles in a drama?
It's often blurry.
And Together seems to be right on that line, which is part of its power, maybe.
It absolutely fuels the conversation. And the answer likely depends heavily on the viewer. Your own lived experiences, your relationship history, how you cope during lockdown, it all shapes how you see it.
So for someone who went through similar strain, it might feel brutally honest.
Exactly. A mirror. They see their pain reflected, and it feels validating, not glamorized.
Yeah.
They recognize the truth, however hard it is.
But for someone else, maybe someone who didn't experience that.
They might see the intense emotion as heightened, overly dramatic, maybe even romanticized in a dark way, especially if they haven't lived through that specific kind of sustained pressure.
And those relatable emotional breakdown scenes are central to this, aren't they?
Completely.
Yeah.
Do they just show an unvarnished truth? Make a difficult reality accessible?
Or does the act of them becoming relatable, shareable, viral, does that inadvertently make the volatility seem, I don't know, more dramatic or desirable than it is?
That's the crux of it. Does sharing normalize it in a way that edges towards glamorization? Confusing drama with health?
It's that fine line between depiction and endorsement again?
Exactly. A film should be able to depict hard realities without endorsing them. The question is, how well does Together manage that line? And more importantly, how is it perceived by different people?
Is it just a mirror? Or does something about the portrayal make the dysfunction compelling in a risky way?
But the fact that we're even having this debate so vigorously,
Yeah.
that's a sign of the film's impact.
True. It's not just passive entertainment.
It's provoking thought, self-reflection, public discussion about mental health, relationships, the pandemic's legacy. A film that does that is significant, regardless of where you land on this specific debate. The conversation itself matters.
And beyond that debate, there's that other angle we touched on, the power of minimalism. It's not just style, right?
Yeah.
The single location, small cast. It feels more deliberate than that.
Oh, absolutely intentional. It's a core artistic choice that really amplifies the film's focus and emotional punch. By stripping away everything extra, other locations, subplots, big casts, action, it forces everyone, characters and audience, to confront the relationship dynamics head on.
Nowhere to hide.
Nowhere. No sweeping views to distract. no side stories to cut away to. It's all focused inward, within those four walls,
Which creates that claustrophobia, that intensity.
intentionally mirroring the lockdown experience, where you couldn't escape the issues. This forced focus, this inability to look away from the relationship's core, its strengths, its weaknesses, is what makes it so potent.
It really underlines that idea that sometimes less is more.
Less spectacle can lead to more profound emotional impact.
Mm.
When the relationship is the entire landscape.
Its details become incredibly sharp.
Exactly. The minimalism elevates the intimacy, the vulnerability, makes you lean in. A powerful choice that serves the film's core message perfectly. #tag wrap up.
Well, that was quite an exploration of Together 2025. So to kind of pull it all together, this film has clearly become a real cultural touchstone for post-pandemic relationships. Thanks to that unique real-life Franco Brie origin, the incredibly relevant themes, and that raw, authentic portrayal of struggle, it's obviously more than just a movie people watch. It starts conversations, it acts as a mirror, and for many, it seems like a tool for collective emotional processing. And maybe for you, listening, it's worth thinking about your own experiences from that time and how art like this might help in understanding those shared complex feelings. Finding some clarity, perhaps.
Yeah, and if you think about the bigger picture, Together really reminds us how vital art can be, especially in challenging times. It acts as that mirror for our collective experience, but also as a way to build shared understanding. It pushes us to look at our own connections, our own resilience, and the things that connect us even when we feel isolated.
Right.
And the whole ongoing conversation around the film, the debates, it just highlights our deep collective need to unpack the lasting emotional impact of everything we've been through recently. It shows how cinema can help us heal, connect, comprehend these huge shifts in our lives and relationships. It offers that shared space, to process what often felt like a very private battle.
Next time on Trending Unpacked, we turn from the silver screen to a tropical virus making headlines. Chikungunya is back in the news, and we'll explore why.